Now, police say the drug den uncovered in Soweto last night is just the tip of the iceberg. To help us understand the scale of the problem, we're joined by Martin Ewi from the Institute for Security Studies. Thank you so much for your time on the programme this evening, Martin. How common is it for drug laboratories like this to be run from residential areas?
They are a lot more common. We find them everywhere. Remember that the drug dealers or the syndicates are organized in cells. So they will target certain communities where they are able to hide, where they are able to also have protection by the community. And therefore, they are scattered all over the country. And we've had quite a good number of dismantling of these laboratories. Last year, we had about 2 major ones. But the biggest so far that we've had since, one would say since 1994, is the bust of, the laboratory in KwaZulu-Natal, which authorities estimated to cost about 3 billion rand. That was so far the biggest that we've had. But these are very expensive laboratories. They are not easy. They cost a lot of money, and what is the drugs that they have in keeping in this laboratory are also very, very expensive, because most often these are clearing houses. This is where these drugs are processed for public distribution.
So just explain this to me. Surely it can't be easy to ship large consignments of drugs out of a residential area like this without being seen. So how's it done?
Well, they use so many different tactics. They don't ship them in big quantities at once. They could have several people carry small quantities, or they could fit these quantities into various materials. We've seen that being fitted into even juice. We've seen that being fitted into fruit. We've seen that being fitted into many, many things. So they really conceal the shipment of these drugs in such a way that it's sometimes extremely difficult for authorities to dictate.
Who's behind the establishment of such drug labs, Martin?
Well, sometimes they are set up as laboratories for other things. It could be for processing fruit. It could be for processing all sorts of materials. But the end product is that they are used for drugs, because they need to conceal the police. They also need to explain to the authority why they are setting up some very unique equipment in the neighborhood. So they will say it's for processing certain things, or sometimes they are done in the dark where the authorities are not able to dictate. But in the case where they are done in the open, they are often done for multi-purpose kind of laboratories, where the laboratory is serving for other purposes other than just drug processing.
So where are drugs like Mandrax headed for?
South Africa is increasingly being known as the transit point or the transient point for drug trafficking. Most of the drugs that leave from here go to Europe. The particular countries are the United States and the United Kingdom, where these drugs are being shipped to. This is, of course, what we get from the interceptions that have happened so far, where police have been able to seize drugs from people who were trafficking these drugs to these countries. So what we need to know is that most often these drugs are human trafficked. They are human born, which means they are trafficked by human beings. So they use other methods. We've seen extreme cases where these drugs have been put in human bodies, and then they were able to travel. We've seen cases where these drugs have been put in different body parts in order to enable them travel. Again, the whole purpose is to conceal, is to protect them from being dictated by authorities.
In this case, of course, the suspects beat a hasty retreat. How easy is it for police to trace suspects like this?
Very difficult, especially where they were not caught right-handed. In cases where the police has to investigate. These investigations are extremely expensive. They take a lot of money. You need to contact a lot of people, especially where the community is not cooperating with the police. If the community is anti-police, that the investigation is going to be time-consuming. It's also going to be very, very costly. because the police will need to do all sort of things to be able to even know where to start the investigation. So sometimes, but where the community is very cooperative, where the lab was located in a community where the community was not quite happy with the lab being there, or certain activities going on in the location which the community was complaining about, there the police is a lot more easier for them to be able to break through the investigation. But most often these investigations are extremely difficult, especially where you don't have forensic labs or forensic capacity for police to analyze these some samples. But in the case of South Africa, I think we're having very powerful lab being developed for forensic labs being developed to be able to detect the smallest of these particles, which can help investigation very much.
Thank you so much for your insight into the story, Martin Ewi from ISS.